In this tutorial, we're going to create a simple Forsta bot called StockBot. StockBot is a bot that users can send a message to containing a ticker symbol, and StockBot will respond with the current price of that stock. StockBot includes a simple user interface so admin users can log in and see all of the messages and prices that have been sent between the StockBot and users in the Forsta application. Before we start writing any code, let's dive a little bit deeper into exactly what's happening when messages are sent and received by taking a look at Forsta's physical and security architectures. Of course, we begin with Forsta's web messenger, which provides human users with the ability to send and receive messages through Forsta. All users must be registered through the Atlas server. This is Forsta's proprietary server that associates users with UUIDs and allows users to be able to send and receive messages through Forsta's Signal server. The Signal server was developed by OpenWhisper Systems, and Forsta implemented its own version of it to handle the communications through Forsta. The Signal server's function is to store and forward messages to all the appropriate recipient devices within a conversation. For our purposes, the user that we are interacting with is a StockBot. The StockBot is a full-stack application that includes a server which communicates to Forsta's Atlas and Signal servers using Relay REST Gateway. Relay REST Gateway provides an API to the Atlas server and WebSockets to the Signal server, which allow the bot to authenticate via Atlas and send and receive messages via Signal. Relay REST Gateway lives locally on the StockBot server and built atop Forsta's open source LibRelay SDK. When the StockBot receives a message from a user that contains a ticker symbol, it reaches out to a third-party API called IEX Trading Group. It has a number of endpoints that return various information about a particular stock. The StockBot then stores all of the inquiries from users as well as the prices returned by IEX in its Postgres database. And finally, the StockBot provides a simple front-end client that allows authorized users to see all of the inquiries that have been made to the StockBot. Let's next take a look at Forsta's security architecture. The first thing we need to understand about Forsta's security architecture are clients. Forsta Web Messenger is an example of a client. Every client is responsible for owning two things: their data and their private keys. Forsta Web Messenger takes advantage of IndexedDB, which is a browser-based database. By contrast, the StockBot is another example of a Forsta client that we're going to build in this tutorial, and it uses an instance of Postgres on its server. Forsta's mobile applications are other examples of clients. They own their own data and their own private keys on their device. Every client must register through the Atlas server in order to be given a unique user identifier to associate with their account. These unique user identifiers are used by Signal server in order to transport messages to the appropriate recipients. When a user sends a message through Forsta, that message is encrypted using Signal's double ratcheting algorithm. It's called double ratcheting because it uses both Diffie-Hellman and symmetric key ratcheting. The encrypted message, along with its public key, are queued on the Signal server until the Signal server is able to forward the message on to the appropriate recipient devices. Once the Signal server forwards the message onto the appropriate recipient devices, that message is deleted from the Signal server. If a session does not yet exist between a sending client and a recipient client, the first thing that will happen is the Signal server will pass on a pre-key to the recipient client. That pre-key is generated by the sending client, not by Signal server. It's important to note that Forsta's infrastructure does not do any cryptographic work. All of the cryptography is handled at the client level. Once a session is established between clients via the Signal server will pass on the fully encrypted message to the recipient client devices. This end-to-end encrypted infrastructure differs from the traditional TLS SSL infrastructure because none of Forsta's infrastructure possesses private keys to decrypt messages sent through it. Only client devices possess the private keys to encrypt and decrypt their messages. And by storing all of the data on the edge, meaning the client devices, it makes Forsta's platform incredibly flexible for developers to build interesting applications and bots to integrate into Forsta. The remainder of this tutorial will demonstrate exactly how to do that.